Howdy, howdy, y'all. So, in this episode, we're going to be covering perks. Now, to preface what I'm about to say, there's a large variety of perks, and even though you can only have 10, those can be switched out using red beans to buy more respecs. And you will find yourself doing that if you switch between PvE and PvE a lot, as there are perks that are useful in PvP that I won't be covering. But you can find those on the forums in the Battle Frame discussion section under a perk thread started by Crusard X, which covers pretty much every perk in the game. Now, this video is going to involve very little movement by me, even in terms of my mouse being on screen, because I actually have a large, basically notepad written up that goes over every perk that's actually relative or related to being a recluse. So I'm going to be looking over my notes while I talk, so there's going to be a lot of that. So I do apologize, this video is not going to involve much combat. Now that being said, let's get started. We're going to start with general perks. These are perks that you get in the basic section. They cost 1 perk point apiece to use. The first one is actually Neutralizer, which, do I even have Neutralizer equipped right now? I don't think I do. Persistence, Harden, Neutralizer, here it is. It reduces damage that you take by 20% from poison. This is a quality of life perk if you're new to being a recluse, or if you find that you're constantly having to hug your alt fire and your poison ball area. Up until, I want to say, version 1.1.1089, there was a bug related to this that actually reduced your self-healing. That bug has been fixed, so it is possible to use it and still gain full lifesteal from your siphoning unit. The next 2 perks are also quality of life movement perks. They are Sprinter and Prototype Pistons. These increase your base movement speed and your sprint speed. If you're like me and you like to be able to zip around the battlefield to be able to go from cover to cover, this is definitely something I suggest picking up. It's not so much needed at lower levels, although you can get it then if you want to. A perk that was recently re-unlocked that is useful, especially in a place like the Warfront raid at level 40, is the Chosen Hunter. To unlock this, you actually need to kill, I want to say it's 1,000 Chosen first, and then you'll be able to unlock this. It's a 1-point perk that increases the damage you deal to all Chosen by 10%. Another perk that I haven't updated my actual physical guide with is Agile. It's a new perk that's currently in play. I don't think if you started now you'd be able to get it. It reduces the cooldown on the grenade abilities and skills by 1 second, and then increases your weapon reload speed by 10%. Now it's essentially Grenadier, well, half of Grenadier, which is a Raptor unlock, and then Fast Hands. But for a single perk point. In PvP, it would probably be more useful than in PvE, because in PvP you'll find yourself using your cryo grenades and things like that more often. Next up is the Biotech Frame Unlock perks. These are all the perks that are related to the Biotech base frame. The first and primary one, and one that you should always be using, is going to be Siphoning Unit. This heals you for 10% of any damage or healing you inflict. This does apply to your primary fire, your alt fire's initial splash damage and ticks, and I believe it also applies to catalytic poisons ticks, and it does apply to your ability damage as well. After that is Persistence. That would be this guy right here. Gives you 30% base health regen over what you already have. doesn't sound like much, but that is a pretty substantial boost, especially if you use something like the Health Regen core, um, because that's just so much more healing to yourself. It is a quality of life perk though, so if you find yourself not really needing that or you want to free up that 1 point, you can skip it over. The last one is going to be catalytic poisons, which is all the way down here in advanced. This takes 5 points to unlock, and it is unlocked by getting your Accord Biotech to level 30. Catalytic poisons is going to be your primary source of damage as a recluse. Yes, I know that your primary fire is going to do anywhere from 5 to 6.5k damage. However, you're going to be finding it really starting to shine as with the alt fire, as that's going to spread out your catalytic poison to lots of targets. Now it affects the bio crossbows alt fire and primary fire, the bio needler, the bio rifle, forward dragonflies, healing wave, healing ball, healing pillar. Basically everything is affected by catalytic poisons. After that, we're actually going to have things like potent toxins is something you can pick up. This is a recluse frame unlock that requires you to get to level 30. In PvP, it's not as useful because they reduced the amount of snare that's placed on a player by 50%, so you get a 15% reduction in PvP. In PvE, it's not actually that useful, because mobs are too stupid to know to walk out of the AoE. I'm hoping that they change mob AI soon to recognize the fact that they're standing in a giant poison cloud and that they should kind of move, which will make something like potent toxins more viable, to keep those targets inside your poison for longer. Anatomy Lessons is the level 40 perk for Recluse. After dealing damage with your weapon, you gain a 10% chance to get a critical shot on your next shot. Now, as a warning, there are two major issues with Anatomy Lessons. The first is that no one knows what its actual internal cooldown is because it's only a 10% chance to get it. The second issue is that this will only be triggered by your primary fire and the initial impact of your alt fire. So the dot ticks won't cause this to proc. Really, in my opinion, Anatomy Lessons is better used on frames with a higher rate of fire, although in a raiding environment with a bio needler, Anatomy Lessons will shine, and therefore it is something you could use in that instance. You also have Necrotic Poison. This is our 1 point just for picking up a recluse. It lowers all of the target's damage, anything affected by poison. It gets their damage lowered by 10%. Good in both PvE and PvP. Definitely something that's a must-have. And then you also have Virus, which increases your poison damage by an additional 5%. This affects everything that does poison damage, and as a recluse, everything you do does poison damage. Therefore, this is pretty much necessary for life. Next up, we have a bunch of perks that I don't actually have unlocked, is the thing, because I've never actually leveled these frames. So let me see if I can find them. First up is actually Invigorate. Where are you? Combat Medic. Here it is. It's basically what it does is it gives you a 15% bonus to attack speed every time you activate an ability. Now, there still needs to be testing done to see if it increases the speed at which your alt fire will tick its dots. Outside of that, really it's more of a buff for those around you than it is for you. It does give you 15% extra movement speed, but outside of the Bio Needler, we don't really need the extra attack speed boost. But again, Radiant Environment Invigorate is a great thing to use, especially because things like, Poison Ball and Evacuate have 20-second cooldowns when you slap modules in them. Then you have the Firecat collateral analytics. Now CA is here. Yeah. This reduces all damage done to yourself by 40%. Up until recently, this actually lowered your self-healing from Siphon Unit. That has since been fixed, so you could use this. If you're new, it's definitely useful, or if you find yourself taking a lot more damage than you should, this is definitely something you can use versus Neutralizer, because Neutralizer only lowers the amount of poison damage, and technically you're always taking poison damage, but this only gives 20% versus Collateral Analytics 40%. So if you had to choose between the two, definitely go with Collateral Analytics, as it will give you better lower damage to yourself. That totally doesn't make sense. English, I'm good at it. Next up is a Tiger Claw unlock, the first of which is Quick Pivot Servos. Again, this is just a 2-point merger of the two 1-point movement speed perks. I do like to run all 3 of those perks though, just because gotta go fast. Another one that on paper provides a great boost, and I don't actually have it because I can't level a Tiger Claw to save my life, is Hunter. So every time you hit a target, it's supposed to give a plus, or it's supposed to boost your damage by 10% to a maximum of 40%. The internal cooldown on when it triggers is every 0.75 seconds, so you'd reach the max boost at about 2.25 seconds of shooting the same target. Now, the issue is that it will only apply to your primary fire and the initial hit of your alt fire, and it does not increase the damage of your alt fire dot ticks or catalytic poisons. I'm pretty sure that's working as intended, because if it wasn't, that would just be a stupidly powerful perk, especially for a recluse. After that, we have a lot of Dreadnought frames. These are mostly quality of life things. The first one, where is it? I'm actually going to start with their master level perk just because I'm right here. Here it is, Hellbent. Anytime you take damage, you increase your damage up to 25%. It's a 5% boost per hit. Each stack only lasts 15 seconds. At this time, I don't actually know if self-poisoning you, if poisoning yourself will proc a stack. But that being said, you take a lot of damage, especially when fighting large groups of Chosen. So that makes this perk really useful. But again, it requires leveling a Dreadnought up to 40. After that, you have more of a quality of life perk. It's called Get a Move On. If you holster your weapon, which you can do by holding down the Q key, this will actually increase your run speed by 10%. It's a major quality of life thing, and if you ever want to unholster after you've holstered, all you have to do is click your mouse, basically, and it'll pull out whatever the last weapon you had equipped was. After that is Arsenal's Fully Loaded. Arsenal is an advanced frame of the Dreadnought, and this will increase your magazine and your total ammo by 20%. The main reason I have this on the list is more ammo for your alt fire, so more poison, and because ammo pack drops aren't as common as they were back in beta, so you will also have the ammo packs that you carry on you to use, but then this will also give you a larger base amount of ammo to use in the first place. Like currently I have 119 ammo, as you can see here. I have 19 in a magazine, and then I have 100 extra. You're always going to have 100 extra, so whatever you can get this magazine to is bonus on top of that. After that, you have the Mammoth level 10 unlock, Harden. I love this. It does not trigger off of your poison self ticks, but lowering the next source of damage by 25% is actually really nice. I've been thinking about switching it out for something else, but I haven't really found a perk that calls out to me in terms of switching it. After that, we actually have Kill Stealer, which is a Rhino advanced perk. Where are you? Nope, 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 nope. There it is. So anything below 50% health would take 30% more damage. Again, this is mostly useful in a raid environment or in PvP, but my understanding of it, and I haven't been able to test it just because I don't spend enough time on the PTS to be able to test it, is that it will not affect your alt fire dot ticks or your catalytic poisons. So mostly it's for your primary fire. Again, that's why I would recommend it for PvE in terms of a raid environment. Your next perk is actually a quality of life perk from the engineers called Fuel Injectors, and I know I have it. Could have sworn I had it. Where are you? Do I really not have an engineer at level 10? Because that would be funny if I don't. Combustion, Headhunter. Nope, 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 nope. There it is. Oh, wow, I don't have my Core Engineer. This quality of life perk increases your energy recharge rate by 20%. That does stack with the boost that you would get from like an energy regen core. After that, we have the recon, the base recon. I don't have one at the right level for it. There it is. So this would increase your headshot damage by 10%. Mostly useful against slow-moving targets that you can easily draw a bead on with your primary fire in terms of a headshot. Outside of that, if you're like me and you can't get a headshot all the time, I wouldn't suggest this. I would definitely put Tactician in that same grouping though. If you're good at headshots, oops, it's in the next section because I'm bad at life. Where are you? There it is. If you're good at headshots, basically what Tactician does is it resets all of your ability cooldowns with a 20%, well, it has a 20% chance to reset all of your ability cooldowns on a headshot. Now it is a 1 proc per minute type ability, but if you can get headshots, that's a lot of ability spammage. Now, next is okay. Plasma spikes is here. Well, it's energy spikes now. Basically, every time you use an ability, you would throw down energy spikes. They cause things to take damage and then lower their movement speed. So it's another snare. And theoretically, it would be a great thing if you're up close to a target and you hit poison ball. They're going to get a snare if you have it from potent toxins, and then you're going to throw down energy spikes, which will cause them to take damage and be snared further. So it is actually a really good perk if you can work it right. Me, I couldn't work it right. I wouldn't use it to save my life. Okay, next up is energy shaping from Raptor, level 30. I need this perk. It gives you a Sin Blade. So basically, when you melee attack right now, you kind of just smash the butt of your gun into things' face. What energy shaping does is it actually gives you a Sin Blade instead, which is an energy sword. Increases your melee damage by 50% and turns that melee damage into energy. It's a for fun thing, honestly. If you have 5 points to do it with and you have it unlocked, there's no reason not to. It's fun. The last one on my list is actually Sure Shot, which I don't have either. So if you damage a target, you have a 10% chance to trigger a 50% boost to your fire rate for 3 seconds, every 7 seconds. Now, this would actually give you a global DPS increase of 7.5%. It is triggered by your alt fire's dot ticks. That being said, though, again, this is something that I think would be really, really good in a raiding environment, but in a generic all-around PvE type thing where you're going to mostly be using your alt fire, it's not as useful. So that basically covers, oh, and well, you have things like thick hide, which if you're using it, whatever. But again, that's just the list of perks that I find the most useful for the recluse. And this is things that, myself and others on the forums have talked about and what we're leaning towards in terms of usefulness as a perk set. If you have perks that you think would fit this list better, leave me a comment down below or head on over to the Recluse Poisoner's Guide to Happiness thread on the Firefall forums and join in on the discussion. Alright guys, I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a great day. Bye.